So because I'm walking through the park, I'm going to title this video, How Secondaries Are Like a Walk in the Park. I'm just kidding, that's way too cheesy. So today, I'm walking through the park. Never filmed in the park before, so this may be a little awkward for me. I don't know what to do if someone walks past me. But the purpose of the video today is to talk about some strategies and some tips for your secondary applications. So stay tuned and hopefully you learn something. All right, so the secondary application, for those that don't know, that's the application you have after you submit your primaries and the schools send you an application back and they want to know a little more about you. So not every school is going to send you a secondary application. Don't be surprised if several schools don't send you a secondary application. Most of the time you'll get them within a week or so of submitting your first primary. After that, some schools could take as long as a month or two before you ever hear back from them. So some schools you may not hear back for several weeks to a month. Depending on the program. Many programs like to look at their primary application first before they send out their secondary. Some programs, many programs really, will send a secondary application before they even read your primary application. There are a few tips that I want to go over today. My first tip is to, before you start sending out multiple secondaries, get a Word document or a Google Doc together and save your answers. Almost all the schools will ask generic questions. That way you can reuse many of the same answers, just tweaking certain sentences to make it more appealing for that particular program. Not every school will ask the same question, obviously, but this way you save time when you do get the secondary applications. On the next tip, the schools want to know that you are going to be a good fit for them. And they do this by the personal statement. They do this by seeing what you write in your secondary applications. When you look at the school's website, you can see what their values, their mission, their goals as a university are. And it's pretty surprising to me that not all the schools have the same values. Some schools really value leadership, some value service, some value diversity and inclusion more than others. So really try to tailor your secondary application or your whole application, but predominantly your secondary application, to show that you fit those criteria and that you would be a good fit. So just to nail this point in, go to the school's website, see what their goals, their values, their mission is, and then on your secondary application, really emphasize those points. That way you're as appealing applicant, and they want to know more about you and will offer you the interview. The interview is what's ultimately going to determine if you are going to be accepted or not. But the secondary is what helps determine if you are going to get an interview. A third point that I feel many students, many applicants don't successfully do is submit the secondary application as early as you can. If you get it, let's just say you get it August 5th, you should try to turn that application in on August 5th. It shows that you are dedicated to that program. You are dedicated and driven to go to their university. Submit it within either that day or the next day. No more than 3 days should go by without you returning the secondary application. That puts you on top of the pile and they look at you first. If you're late, and let's say 75% of the other applicants have already turned theirs in, they have 75% more students that go through their their criteria to figure out if they want them or not. You don't want to be on the bottom of the pile and just be an okay applicant. I'd rather be at the top of the pile, be an okay applicant and get an interview. If you're at the bottom of the pile and just okay, you're probably not going to get that interview. So don't wait on the secondaries. Send those in as early as possible, as fast as possible. Those are going to make sure that you have the best chance of getting an interview. Many secondary applications will ask you what your tie is to that local community or that state. This is really important because many schools have criteria that they must meet, and certain percent of their class have ties to their area. For example, like Florida State, I believe it is, they only accept students from Florida or who have super close ties to Florida. So when you do have those questions, make sure that you can talk somehow about how you've lived there, you have family that's there, you want to live there, you see yourself there, and want to be an active member of that society. That way they know that you're going to stick around. Medical schools want their graduates to be a member of that community. They don't want you to come from out of state, go to the program, and then leave. The schools are reimbursed for hire for in-state students or students who are going to be there longer. So they really want to find applicants who have close ties to those programs. Use the secondary application as a way to highlight important things from your initial primary application. If they ask how you've been a leader in the community, take one of your examples from your primary application and build upon it, right? Really try to show and explain who you are as a person and what your character is like. You do not want to have a cliche secondary application, right? Everyone is going to have cliche points. You want to be the outlier. You want to be the person who stands apart from everyone else. Many schools receive thousands of applicants. And then out of that, they normally send 75 to 100% of the students' secondary applications. And then they will interview about 10% or 20% of those applicants to accept, 3 or 4%, if that, of applicants. So you really want to stand apart. You don't want to be a cliche, stereotypical pre-medicine student. Highlight yourself, make yourself seem interesting, make yourself seem like you're a good fit. When you're filling out or answering the questions for each topic that the secondary asks you about, try and make your sentences and your explanations concise, but you also want to explain. I know that when I would have, a 500 word essay I would get to write, or 500 characters or what have you, I would try to fill up almost all of that. They use these secondaries to get to know you. If you only fill out a quarter of the character count or word count, then that's just not giving yourself the best chance possible at portraying who you are. Really elaborate, really explain, and dive deep when you can, when you have the opportunities to. I'm real glad Maddie told me not to wear green. I would definitely be blending in with this, and I would just be a floating head. So thanks, Maddie. But moving on, make sure that everything is grammatically correct and everything makes sense. Just like your primary application that you got months to work on, and your personal statement you got months to work on. Your secondary, even though you only have 24 hours, 48 hours to work on it, it should still be flawless. When you're being compared to other top-notch students, you want to make sure that you fit the part of a medical student. You don't want to have spelling errors. That's the fastest way to get your application thrown out. You could be the greatest applicant, but if you don't spell certain words right, or if you have indiscrepancies on your application, then they're just not going to take the chance on you. Because every applicant they, give an acceptance to, that's a risk. They're not positive that they're going to get those students to actually matriculate into their program. So they want to try to keep their number of acceptances that they pass out to a minimum. That way they look like, look, we gave 200 applicants acceptances and 150 of them accepted it. That's what makes medical schools look so good. When you write your essays, you can reuse answers that you use for other secondary applications for other programs. There's nothing wrong with that. So I copy and pasted many essays and just reused them. Some secondary applications are incredibly short, 1 question, 2 questions with a couple yes or no answers. Others are 10 essays that are 250 words each, describing yourself. So when you do get your secondaries back, sometimes it feels like it's in waves. So you can get 3 or 4 secondaries back, and you got to get those out within 24 hours. Or you want to try to get those out within 24 hours. You're going to get backlogged. So reuse questions. If you know, I wrote this one well, I like what I said, and it portrays who I am correctly, reuse it. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you tailor each question to that school. Check out their website and make yourself fit what they are looking for. So shooting outside is a lot more awkward than shooting in a nice air-conditioned apartment. My arm is definitely getting heavy. This camera, even though I thought it was light, it's not that light. But so I need to go to the gym more. But yeah, so if you like videos like this, definitely hit that subscribe button, like it. If you want more information about this, check out some of our other videos. Or Maddie and I actually wrote a book on how to succeed in your medical school application and what medical school is all about. So check that out. If you have any comments or questions, leave those down in the comment section and I'll try to respond to them, or someone else will respond to them. But other than that, thanks for watching.